Hi, this is Jack Stanley, and I haven't done a talk in a while dealing with history. I haven't mentioned much at all. I have spent a good deal of my life studying history, been involved with many things that made a little history too at times. And it's a fascinating thing, history in itself. And I wanted to talk to you about my definition of history, what I feel about history, and why it's so important. Now, those of you who follow this channel and who have heard me babble on about things here and there pertaining to history know the passion I have for it. I have studied history for well over a half century, and I surround myself, as you will know, with books and, like these wonderful old books like this that are 200 plus years old and filled with fascinating information. And not only that, knowledge. And sometimes great knowledge, great advice, and great thought. And also great mistakes. Let's face it, people who lived 200 years ago were not without fault. I mean, they made a lot of terrible mistakes. They did a lot of bad things that they didn't think were bad. At least some people didn't think they were bad. But by studying the history of whatever it may be, everything has a history. That's the important thing for us to remember. Everything has a history. Be it knitting, being bird watching, being whatever it may be, there is a history to it, no matter what the subject is. Because if you studied that subject a year ago, there's a year of history about what happened. And in so many cases, in so many subjects, in so many arenas, there are histories. And for me, what makes my blood kind of pump is discovering something new, finding out more information about things that I knew some of, but didn't know the rest of the story. And so, as I said, I have a library around me. I have about 1,000 books, I guess. And they range from like 500 years old to practically brand new. And each one of them has a story. Each one of them has a history. Each one has some nugget of information that makes sense to me and clears up a question I may have. So, as I said, I've been studying history for over 50 years. I have lectured on history. I've taught history. I have done programs on television on history and things like that. It's been a fabulous and interesting career for me in some of the many things I've done pertaining to history. And I was even able, as many of you will know, to do programs where I could interview and record historic individuals, people that walked on the moon, people that were president, people that were actors, people who made movies, people who made recordings, people who were diplomats, people who were actors and did vaudeville. Lots of things, lots of programs, lots of stuff like that. And by doing so, I learned a lot. And so perhaps what I'm trying to say is, after a half century of studying this, I'm a repository of a lot of information. And I should do more talks and share more stuff. And also, if I may add, to folks that watch this channel or listen to the recordings, I try to put on all different types of recordings. Right now I'm on an Edison kick. But if you have thoughts, ideas, that you would like me to talk about. And if I know enough about it, I will. And if I don't, I will tell you I don't know enough about that subject. But I would love to hear from you folks. What would you like me to talk about? What would you like to hear about? What would you like me to share and explain to you? I would love to do that. And to help people and teach people. Because that's the most important thing. And that's another part of history that really is so important, is it constantly teaches. History is one of the greatest teachers in the world. Think about this. Because with history, you find out what works, what doesn't work, what is absolutely idiotic, and what is absolutely brilliant. So, what I wanted to say here is I love history. History is my life. History at this point in my life is the greatest thing. And I can't get enough of it. And I can't study enough of it. And I can't go through enough books. And I can't watch enough programs. And I can't watch enough documentaries and things like that that constantly teach me and constantly hone my knowledge of what I do know. Because sometimes, you learn something and you find you're wrong. And the most important thing about being someone who's serious about whatever discipline you're involved in, when you discover you're wrong, you have to admit it and fix it. And I have changed my opinion and my information on several factors once I learned that what I knew or thought I knew was incorrect. And there's nothing wrong with being wrong, but there's a lot wrong with being wrong and not wanting to change. So, history. My love, my enjoyment, my treasure, my thought bench in a sense. Whatever I need to learn, I can find and I can study, at least for what I want to learn. There's an awful lot of stuff that you can only learn so much, and you can only study so much. And everybody has a different interest, so my interests are pretty varied. And I'll mention that one last time. If you have an idea of what you'd like me to talk about, because I've talked about lots of different things over the years, if you have an idea that's something I haven't talked about, something maybe I talked a little bit about, that you would like me to talk more about, I'd be happy to do so. So, that's all I wanted to say. Have a good August. My goodness, 2025 is going by so fast, and before long it will be history. Take care.